Okay, it says I'm live. Am I really, or is it just messing with me? Hopefully I'm live. Speak to me, fellas. Am I live? I hope I am. What's my YouTube notification telling me? Oh, it looks like I'm live. Awesome. Hey. All right. You are live, sir. Awesome. Thank you. Well, hey, welcome along. Better late than never. 7:05. Been here for 7 minutes, and it's taken that long to get through. I will one day, I guess, maybe figure out what the hell I'm doing wrong, if I'm doing something wrong. But cheers, guys. Welcome along. Barry Cooter, I'm live too. Who we got here? Phil Buckley, welcome along. 6th Street Garage, awesome. Roy Miller, Beagle Bob, Driveway Misfits. Josh Homan, Matthew, hey buddy, how you doing? Derek Deberjack, Barry Cooter, hey, good to have you along, man. Old Timer, Charles Dalton, cool. Quite 22 in the room already. That's great. So, fellas, what's been going on? What's happening? What's new out there in Hot Rod Land? Roy Miller, may the force be with you. There you go. Matthew, you're live or is it memories? Todd Denio, hey man, welcome along. Old timer Johnny Walker Blue tonight. Very nice, very nice. You're in the kitchen, Mrs. Kiwi must be out. No, she's actually not out of town, but she's at Pilates till 8 o'clock. So I started up in the kitchen because, I think it's even harder to get connected when I'm down in the old man cave. So I know it's kind of better background decoration down there, but at least, the damn computer works up here. So. What have we got? Jeff R., good morning from sunny South Australia. Isn't it nearly winter? Well, not here, mate. It's nearly summer. It's the temperature is starting to crank up, I'm telling you. So, no, definitely not winter. Might be maybe down your end of the world, but not here. Well, what have I got to report? Let's see. Been tinkering a little bit on the F100. Just trying to get that a little more road-worthy. Had the drive shaft off today, and because it's got a fairly mean vibration in it, and I'm pretty sure it's the drive shaft. Looking at it a bit closer, the slide yoke was completely jammed solid. I had to beat on it to get it apart, get it freed up properly, and one of the circlets in the center universal joint was kind of out of place, and the whole thing was going side to side by about, 30 thou or something like that. So getting that back together, and hopefully that'll get rid of our vibration, and I'll be able to drive the old girl around, so which would be good. Garth Harris, morning Kiwi. Winter kind of happening here in Australia. What's happening with Casper? Casper is waiting. Just trying to get caught up on all these little jobs I've had booked in, for months, and they've all kind of arrived, and I've got to get through them. And then we'll be getting back on Casper. I've also been working on the red big block fastback Mustang we got in there, the 68, getting the air conditioning, trying to make that fit because we've moved the firewall back, so you lose a whole lot of real estate where the AC unit is supposed to go. So so there's that, and you will be getting back on Swiss cheese shortly. Driveway of Misfits. So no progress on Mrs. Kiwi's Sunbeam. Yes, none, zero, nada. It's not a good situation, I gotta be honest, but doing my best. And then we got that old 54 Corvette, rolled that back into the shop today to put the reconditioned cylinder heads back on it. So we'll get that one done and dusted and out of the way. Got a nice 72 Buick Skylark convertible in. which is like a sister car almost to that white GDO that I had in. And, it's white with the white roof, all that. The key difference is it's a Buick, not a GDO, but very, very similar car. But yeah, that's needs not a big one, just a couple of convertible top hydraulic rams and some the little lines. The body of the ram broke away, and so that the ram where it's meant to be anchored just shot down when they've hit the hydraulic, the electric switch, and took the lines off the side of the ram. So consequently, oil went everywhere. The hydraulic oil. So yeah, that's kind of a bit of a icky mess. But yeah, we'll get that one straightened out. It's pretty simple stuff, really. Just putting the rams, replacement rams in there and some lines, and should be good to go. What else have we got? Todd Denio, keeping an eye on updates for 2 wildfires within 50 miles of me. So far, over 20,000 acres burnt. Wow, that's not good. That's not good. Damn. Yeah. Hope it all stays away from you, buddy. Old timer, you haven't had fun with grease and oil until you pull a planetary final drive apart from the backside of a mountain in the Munray. Oh Lord, yeah, that does. No, I haven't had the pleasure of that quite that much fun. Hopefully, I never will. Steve Sadusky, hey man, welcome along. Steve, hi Kiwi, it's Donkey from Texas. Donkey from Texas? Not quite getting that one. Donkey from Texas. Not sure about that one. Fish Geralding, what a day. Replaced the oil pump belt on a neighbour's 2019 F-150 2.7 EcoBoost. Nightmare. Yeah, I'll bet. One-time use oil pan, absolute POS. Going to get a shower after that all-day freaking job. Well, you have my sympathies, sir. That's all I can say. I've heard a lot of those oil pump belt drives, those that run in oil. They're not getting a lot of positive press. Let's just say. I'll tell you the other thing that happened yesterday is I'm jumping my trusty old Lincoln MKS, the 2010, I think it is, to race up to the machine shop to pick up those heads, and it made some very strange noises. And it's like, ooh, that's not good. So I stopped to have a look, and there's water coming out the bottom of it. And it wasn't overheated, but it was chucking water out, and it had done the water pump. And pulled the dipstick, oil pan's full of water from the leaking, bearings gone in the water pump deal, and that just dumped straight to the crankcase of the engine. So that old girl may be done. It's apparently around about a 16-hour job to change the water pump, because it's chain-driven water pump, so it runs off the same chain that runs the 4 camshafts. So yeah, it's a bit of a task, to even access it. All the intake, the upper and lower intake manifolds got to come off, all the valve covers, cam chains. While you're in there, you should really do the chains, the tensioners, the seal, the front pulley seal. So yeah, I just don't know whether it's worth doing. It's kind of a waste to kind of junk the car, because the rest of the car is really nice, but. Yeah, I knew I was on borrowed time with that water pump, but time was up, apparently. Now, Barracuda, maybe cats could be today's off-topic conversation. Well, yeah, you never know. We always have some kind of bizarre off-topic subject, so yeah, why not? Volfly, one feels badly for Fish Geralding, quite the pain in the buttocks. Yeah, it sounds like it. Volfly, have you ever done a water pump on a 3.5 Ford, not EcoBoost, but just 3.5? apparently it's the same family, like MKS, MKZ, and something else. They have either a 3.5 or a 3.7 V6. But yeah, the water pump croaked on mine, so yeah. Victor Souza, hey man, welcome along. Good to have you here. Unfinished project. Good to have you here, mate. Beagle Bob, I thought Donkey was from Shrek. Donkey was from Shrek. Is from Shrek. Driveway of Misfits. Does Donkey from Texas mean that everybody from Texas is an ass? Ooh, that's a little spicy in the comments. It's a little yeah. Unfinished project, 2.7 F-150. Is that a thing? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It shouldn't be. I understand, but yeah. Firefly saw the donkey jokes coming with his compound eyes. Oh, good Lord. Jeff R, can brake drums go out of round? What would the symptoms be? I'm getting a shake bounce under light braking at around 20 mile an hour. Drums can go out of round, mate. Yeah, they can. And often if you turn them, I've kind of always had like a 50-50 run with drums, tuning drums. They can sometimes end up, pumping the pedal a little bit. So yeah, I'd say it has gone out of round. Volfly, warp drums happen. Yeah, exactly. I agree. Tech bits and pieces. Yay, finally got to see another Kiwi live session. Well, it's good to have you along, mate. Josh Homan, disposable vehicles these days. Yeah, it's it doesn't sit well with me. I've got to be honest. Like this should be a car. It's a nice car. Like it's got air conditioned seats and all the bells and whistles. Particularly for a 2010 car. Like it's loaded with extras. Because it's a Lincoln, and it's just a nice car, and it's a real nice car to drive. Even like in spite of the fact that it's a V6 and it's front-wheel drive, it really doesn't drive like a V6 front drive. You kind of tend to forget it's front-wheel drive. It's a nice car, and it seems just a waste to, tow it to the junkyard. But I mean, it's to take it somewhere, which I wouldn't do anyway, but to take it and get it done, it's about a $4,000 job to replace the water pump along with all the other things that you should do while you're that deep into the engine, So, and the car's worth maybe $3,000 in today's market. So, yeah, it doesn't really make sense. Does not really make sense. But, yeah, what you gonna do? Driveway of Misfits. So my brake bleeding problem from last week. Oh, yeah, I remember now. Yeah. Bad master cylinder, stuck combination valve and an impatient brake bleeder. All good now. I see you had two issues, the combination valve and the master. I figured you had an issue with that combination valve. But yeah, hey, glad you got on top of it, man. What kind of made you... was it just on our suggestions, or was it just process of elimination? Like how did you get to there? Old timer bugs are out bad in E&H. Yeah, well, yeah, I guess they would be too. Yeah. Wayne's World, another day chasing out oil leaks on my newest Corvair. Okay, how many Corvairs have you got, mate? At least it's not. Oh no, they are water cooled. What am I saying? I was going to say they're air cooled, but they're not, are they? They're water cooled, the Corvairs, aren't they? I think. Or are they? Oh, good Lord. Yeah, what do we got? Volfly, my co-worker did the 3.5 chain drive water pump. Wiring jobs usually keep me busy. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he thought of doing. I'm kind of toying with the idea of trying to do it, but honestly, I've got so much other work to do on everyone else's cars. I don't really have time to. They say you can do it in somewhere from 8 to 12 hours, depending on how proficient you are. I think the book time is like 16 hours. But some places drop the whole engine and trains and everything out the bottom, and some are doing it with the engine in place. So not really sure which is the best way to attack it and whether I even want to. So, yeah. Todd deny. I will stick with old cars that are pre-computer. They are so much easier to work on. Yeah, really they are. Yeah. Yeah, when I look in the engine bay of the old F100, that's a piece of cake. Yeah, but not this. Yeah, like even changing the plugs on the back bank is a major on the spark plugs. So yeah, just doing a water pump is going to be a lot of removal, a lot of stuff to remove, and then quickly do the water pump, and then a whole lot of shit to put back together. Old timer paid $2.70 a gallon for gas today. That's not bad. That's pretty darn cheap. That's like $1 cheaper than some places around me. Fitzgeralding, this new stuff is a pain in the ass to work on. I had to remove the intake and replace the gasket just to change the spark plugs on my Lexus. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, the only thing you can do really is just continue driving old cars. But I mean, places like California are talking about banning them old cars, so like completely banning them. So that's a bit scary. Transnet needs to be government funded so we can swap in our own engines at will. Yeah, yeah, that's thinking. That's thinking. It's just LS and small block Ford everything, really, isn't it? Volfly Dyslexis. Beagle Bob, is that block the same as the 3.3 version of those motors where they unfuck the water pump? I'm not sure about the 3.3. I don't have an answer for that. I mean, my knowledge on these 3.5s, I know the 3.5 and 3.7 are essentially the same motor, just obviously a tiny bit bigger. But the 3.3 I'm not familiar with, so don't know. Old timer. Tony did a video on how modern cars are going mechanically kaput long before the rest of the car these days. Junkyards full of great looking cars with junk mechanicals. Yeah, the engines, if it's not the engines, then it's the computer systems failing. Engines, and usually with that, what I've found or believe is that, the engines, it's usually not, it's not like they wear out the rings or wear out the bearings. That stuff seems to go and go and go. But yes, dumb stuff like water pumps, oil pump belts and stuff like that. The engines are just there's so much stuff in the engine, so much. I was going to say junk, but it's not really junk. I mean, all this multi-displacement and stuff. I mean, it's pretty high tech, and some will say it's junk, but I don't know that it's junk, but it's maintenance heavy, shall we say. Tech bits and pieces. Old timer here in Sydney, we are paying $2 a litre for regular unleaded. Ouch. Ow. That's high. Phew. Wow. Yeah, that's $8 that's $8 a gallon. Todd Denoyo, yes, they can warp, and yes, the drums can walk and cause the bounce you mentioned, and you can also feel it in the brake pedal. If it's on the front, it can be felt in the steering wheel. Yep. Barracuda, $2.74 for quarter of a litre in New Zealand. Barracuda, I mean gallon. Yeah, that's more like it, bud. Yeah, $2.74 a litre. Wow, that's really getting up there, isn't it? Jeez. I shot too far down the page. Driveway of misfits. Took the hard line with the master, pumped it, nothing came out. With new master, only 2 wheels would bleed, so combo valve was stuck. A few whacks with a hammer and reset it. Yeah, those combo valves can really give you grief, man. Andy Nickel, hey man, welcome along. Good to have you here. Chris Freeman, I love working on my Beetle. So simple and far less intimidating for a DIY compared to modern cars. Oh, yeah. I mean, intimidating is exactly right. I mean, I look in the engine bay of this Lincoln of mine, and I'm intimidated. And a lot of that, if it was the engine bay of an old GDO, that's not intimidating. But, yeah, these new ones, I guess if you're working on them every day, it's different, but I'm not. Beagle Bob, if you're not going to fix it, what would you replace it with? I would recommend a Crown Vic 100% of the time. Honestly, mate, really, what I'm doing, like what I've been kind of messing around with yesterday and today, is getting this F100, but old blue, to a point where I can drive it every day. So I've got the back wheels that I've ordered for it are back order now, not due to ship until the end of June. So I've had to buy some tyres just to go on the original 15-inch rims. Just so I've got round, non-dry rotted tyres. Yeah, $70 a tyre. So I've got some of those which I'll pick up tomorrow. So we'll have a set of roadworthy tyres on it, fixing the drive shaft, and it should be pretty good. We put the new bushes on the lower arms, where they come back and meet into the chassis, the stabilizer bar bushes, stabilizer arm bushes, and that made a huge difference to it. Which you got a number of you guys said change those, it'll make a big difference, and you're absolutely right. It did. It made a big difference. It's before it wasn't even that it wandered from left to right. It was more like it was on a mission to go left and right, not really wandering. Wandering kind of implies it was just casually going from one side to the other. There was nothing casual about it. It was darting and diving. It was like, oh, there's a ditch, let's get in. And it was like, ah. So yeah, but yeah, Crown Vics are pretty solid old cars. Hard to beat those, really. Fitzgeralding on the F-150, I had to remove the sway bar, drop the shaft on the front differential, wire up out of the way, remove the trans lines, drop a cross member. Ridiculous. Yeah. It sucks. But yeah, like I was saying, it's supposedly on the Lincoln, like if you take it to Ford, they dropped everything out the bottom. So front suspension, driveline, motor trans on a big cradle that it's all bolted onto, and it all comes out the bottom. Which is great if you've got the right, the nice hydraulic table to drop it onto and everything that you need to do. But I don't have any of that stuff. So, but I actually had at lunchtime today, I was flicking through YouTube and looking at a few videos on guys changing that water pump with the engine in place, and it's not good, but it's not easy, just mainly because so much shit to take off first before you actually start the job, so to speak. Victor Souza, what is that circular thing we usually see in classic car motors? Kind of like a plate at the top. Why don't we see that in cars nowadays? What is that circular thing we usually see in classic car motors? You're talking about the distributor, buddy? I'm guessing. I'm guessing you're talking about the distributor. Well, of course, all the modern cars now are all computerized, so they don't have a distributor. They have a reluctor wheel on either on the front or the back of the motor, that you never see. So, things sure have changed. Snow Crusher, Canada, $1.19 a litre, $4.49 a US gallon. I mean, that's expensive, but it's not. Honestly, it's not like New Zealand and Aussie. But hey, it is what it is. Driveway of Misfits, air cleaner. Well, yeah, okay, good point, Chris. Yeah, it could well be an air cleaner. Modern cars still have air filters. They're just in a different shape now, and usually off to one side of the motor somewhere. Not a nice round circle. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, distributor, but no, I think you're right. He's talking about the air cleaner. Kind of like a plate. Yeah, that makes sense. Volfly, be back later. Got to get groceries. You got to plan your day a bit better, Volfly. I mean, you need to get your groceries on the way home, mate, and then you won't have to drag yourself away. Steve, from 65 to 69, what is your favourite Mustang? Honestly, I'd have to say 69. Not by a long way at all. They're all three they're fairly similar cars, really. But yeah, the 69, it's just that little bit wider. And just a little sleeker looking somehow. Let's say not by much, but by nose, the 69. Jeff R. Just heard my son is coming over to do an oil change. There go my tools and hello mess. Hey, don't. Yeah, I get it, Jeff. But like, hey, he's doing his own oil change. That's not such a bad thing. But yeah, he will leave a mess. Yeah, it's safe to say. Fitzgeralding, Jay Leno is trying to put a stop to all that BS in California. Well, hopefully he can. Hopefully his little bit of clout might just be enough leverage to make it happen. So, I mean, it needs to. Like, I mean, what happened to America, land of the free? Like, I still hear that said, uttered quite often these days, and I'm like, really? I'm not quite seeing it. I mean, no, it's not communist, right? Oh, clearly not. But wow, they're sticking an awful lot of legislation and rules and regulations down our throats. They really are, and it's like, it's not good. Old timer, peace out all. Well, you're dipping out on us, buddy. John Oskowski, hey Kiwi, hey, welcome along, John. Good to have you here, man. Steve Sadusky, what's the latest project for you, Kiwi? Oh, where's he gone? I scrolled down too far. God damn it. Yeah, let me just come on. Right. Duke Domino, here's to the All Blacks. Yes, I agree. Here's to the All Blacks. Hopefully you all know what the All Blacks are. They're our New Zealand's national rugby team, the All Blacks. Some hard boys there, let me tell you, and big boys. Big boys. Steve Sadusky, what's the latest project for you? Well, I mean, one arrived yesterday. I was mentioning it earlier. I'm not sure whether you heard, but a 72 Buick Skylark convertible, white on white. Quite a nice old car. And that's not really a project, to be fair. It's just a little bit of routine maintenance. The hydraulic struts that put the roof up and down failed, so we're just doing that. But other than that, there's not really any latest big projects, because I've still got too many big projects already in the works that I've got to get done. So, including my blue F100, which I need to get going so I can have a driver, because I can't be taking my Audi to work every day. It's just a little hard on it, and I'm too dirty when I get back in it. And I need an older vehicle to be hacking to work and back, and picking up engines and stuff like that. So yeah, I need to get that blue truck going, and that's a little more urgent than it was on Monday. Before I left home on Monday morning, and I got about 2 miles down the road, and that was the end of the Lincoln. Charles Dalton, who among us would ever think we'd say, I had to junk the car, it needed a new water pump? And yet with all the complexity, that's where we are. Yeah, I would never have imagined myself saying that. It's a good point. It's a very good point. It's that's a nonsensical sentence, isn't it? That does not make sense. Doesn't really compute, but. John Oskowski on the road tonight. Thought I might say a quick hi. Well, hey, thanks, man. So you're on the ride, literally on the road driving, or you're just out of town? Andy Nickel, even if I had to rebuild or replace the engine, I'll drive my 04 until I'm done. Yeah, that kind of sentiment's gone through my mind too, because I didn't really think I would, before I'd owned it for I think we've owned it about, how long have we owned it? Good 10 years. And, I didn't, when we bought it, I didn't really expect to like it as much as I do. So yeah, it's, but my wife and I were lamenting, the poor old Lincoln's demise, and it's like, that's actually one of the best cars, probably is the best car we've ever owned, as far as, really nothing. All we've ever done is put brakes in it, brakes and oil. But it's it's made up for its, it's caught up on Monday, like in the space of a few hundred yards. It made up for that previous 10 years of really minimal, ongoing expenses. And it kind of all caught up. So I guess you got to pay somewhere along the line. Like that really, we put spark plugs in it, and that was spark plugs, brake pads, and oil. So it cost us very little. I guess if you broke it down and did more, had more ongoing expenses every year, then you'd soon spend that over 10 years. It wouldn't be that hard to spend $4,000 on incidentals like a regular water pump, alternators, starter motors, that kind of thing. And that car's not had any of those issues until yesterday. So maybe if you break it down and average it out on a per year basis, it's still not that high, but it's a lump of money to spend right now. Todd Denio, Victor Souza air cleaner. New cars with internal combustion engines still have them, but they're shaped differently and aren't on top of the engines anymore, but are next to the engine. Yep, exactly right, sir. Wildman 318 is here. Good to have you here, man. Welcome along. Tech Bits. My Chrysler Grand Voyager 08 Town and Country is at 510,000 Ks and still going good mechanically so far. Wow. That's exceptional. That's exceptional. Yeah, that's like 300,000 miles. That's pretty darn good out of a Grand Voyager, I got to tell you. That's pretty darn good. Dr. Art's in the house. Hey, man, how you doing? Good to have you along. I had the pleasure of Dr. Art's company today, and he was kind enough to bring me a nice bottle of bourbon, which I promptly left at work. I was going to bring it back and try it tonight on the show, but I roared out. I was kind of dragged on a little bit, and it's like, damn, I got to get out of here and get home so I can do the live, and roared out of the shop without the bourbon. So sorry about that, Doc. But trust me, you don't need to worry about whether it's going to get drunk. It's just when. Yeah. Very Cuda. I'm sure there are a lot of wealthy, influential people like Leno in California that own classic cars. Yeah, there is, and it's going to be interesting to see who wins that one. It really is. Paul Funk, sorry I'm late for the party. I'm boondocking from Cherry Creek State Park in southeast Denver. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Tech Bits here will be peeing in the tank to save on fuel costs. Oh dear, that's a bit grim. Alan Shildroth, I was thinking easier to work on. It would be nice. Donkey, I like the 66. Fair enough. Yeah, it's not a right or wrong question. It's what you like. I mean, I own a 66. It's just really because that's what I stumbled across. I love the shape of the 66. I do. But people say, what's your favorite? And it's like, well, there is an answer. Todd did I involve Volfly? Didn't you have to go and get groceries? Didn't you eat yesterday? Yeah. The holes, Kiwi. What's the story with the old motors and torque plates? When reboring a block, if you don't use the torque plate, these days they frown. Nobody did it in the 80s and everything was okay. Oh, good. Thing shot up the page again. Right, there we go. And honestly, the main reason they didn't do it in the 80s was that they hadn't really figured it out, how much the blocks move under, when the head torques down. And it's little stuff, it's the little subtleties like that why engines today are putting out so much more horsepower, why 3-litre V6s are putting out the horsepower that are old 5s and 5.3-litre V8s, were putting out in the 80s, because the machining technology, all the technology in engines is so much better. But putting a torque plate on before you bore it, will increase your horsepower. I mean, it's not like putting a huge cam in it, like gain, but it makes them more efficient. They just seal up that little bit better. You don't get quite as much crankcase blow-by. Consequently, a little more power. I mean, it's those all those little bits, not just the one thing. It's not like put a torque plate on it and you'll gain 100 horsepower. That's not how it works either. But it's all the little details that add together, and why now, instead of 300 horsepower 327s, they're making 450 horsepower, not 320, but around that literage. Steve Stadusky, has anyone noticed the ridiculous pricing on some of the old classics that are beyond project cars? Man, have the prices gone up. Yep, they have. They've gone up a lot. People are expecting a hell of a lot for what they've got. And a lot of them are not selling. That's the thing. That's the problem, is that, like the prices of the ones that are done and finished and nice, lovely driving cars has gone right up. But that's because labour prices have gone through the roof. So, which makes, those older project cars even more expensive than ever to build. So really, I don't think the project cars should be going up in price, but they are. Well, people are asking. It's what people are asking, because they see the big numbers on these silly TV auctions and think, well, mine must be worth at least, 15 grand or whatever. I don't think they are. Barracuda. When I see photos of Alan Moffat's 69 Fastback, it's hard to argue against that model. Yeah, I agree. They were, you drop them down a little bit, put some decent sized wheels on them, and they look pretty badass, in my opinion. Wildfly checks the deep freeze. Nope. No need for groceries tonight. Found frozen burritos. Plans within plans. Living large at Wildfly's place. Todd denies. Prices have gone insane for cars that are barely enough to supply a few parts. Yeah. Beagle Bob, what is the bolt pattern on those F100 wheels? 5 on 5.5, which is a pain in the butt, because it's just an unusual pattern. I mean, some of the Dodgers and some of the Jeeps have that same bolt pattern, but yeah, I mean, I've got lots of 5 on 4.5 wheels kicking around that I could just bolt on my truck temporarily, but yeah, not the right size ones. So not the right bolt pattern anyway. Todd and I, my favourite Mustang wasn't a Mustang, even though it looked like a Mustang. It was a 69 Shelby GT 500. Well, yes, fair comment. They're pretty nice. They are pretty nice. Come on, people. Fitzgeraldine, good old wingnut air cleaner housings. By the time I get all that plastic out of the way and unplug the MAF sensor, it's a 20-minute job just to replace the bloody air filter on the Lexus. Yeah, well, that's the price you pay, man. I mean, there's lots of things I know you like about your Lexus, the way it goes, the way it looks, the way it handles, and you got to pay to play, and that how I look at it anyway. That's part of the price of owning, like a high performance Lexus or whatever it might be. That's kind of the price you pay, is that difficulty of working on them. Todd Denier, come on, people, hit that like button. Yes, please do hit the like button. It helps. It helps YouTube put it out to a few more people when they see you guys liking it. So yeah, it all helps keep the wheels turning, so to speak. And someone has to pay for the tires on F100, that would be great. I would appreciate it, guys. Josh Homan, hopefully prices will come down as the people that grew up with these cars get older. Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to transition from 60s cars to being the 70s being the main. if they're not already, actually. 70s being the big players, and then the 80s will follow soon after that. Gosh, 6 months or more ago, I had a 85 Impala, which I reluctantly did a little bit of work on for a lady. She just wanted some door seals done on. You may have heard this story before. I don't know, so forgive me if you have. But that was they just clip in door seals. It was a piece of cake. Took an hour, if that. Put some new door seals on it, and I had somebody stop by and say, "Hey, that's a cool old car." And then another young guy, youngish compared to me, guy stopped by and asked permission to take photos of it because he thought it was just so cool. And I'm like, okay. And it was just a dirty brown 4-door Impala, that real square boxy one. And it was like, I just personally just wouldn't give it a second look at all. Some of the 2-doors, weren't bad, but just a 4-door sedan was like, just left me cold. But there was people out there that liked them. So, Volfly clings to his model Tucker car and fusses with it. Andy Nickel, the water pump in my Sebring is inside the timing cover, like the Lincoln. Not impossible to change, but a major pain. Apparently, when they fail, and they do, they let antifreeze into the oil by my motor. Mate, that's exactly what mine did. I pulled the dipstick, and it's all just a milkshake in there. So I don't believe I've hurt the motor, because I heard the pump before. I didn't lose oil pressure or anything like that, and I wasn't. It was still pretty cold, so I wasn't getting after it by any means. So I'm pretty sure the engine, 99.9% sure the engine's fine, and it didn't get hot, but I just heard the noise and it's like, wow, that's not right. So I stopped to have a look, and there was not a lot of water coming out, but a little bit of water. And it's like, okay, I know what that is, because I'm kind of basically waiting for it to happen, because according to what they say, I'm not quite sure who they are, but they say they fail at 100,000 miles, and the old Lincoln's done 189. So borrowed time. So once I saw the water coming out, it's like, okay, tow truck time. So I can, I'm pretty sure I can fix it. Like looking at the videos of doing them, it's certainly not beyond me, but time is a challenge, because it's going to take, from all accounts, it's going to take a solid day and a half to do it. And that's the trouble when you have a shop like I do. If I take a day and a half away from customers' cars, that's 12 hours of build time that I don't get. So even though you're working on your own car, and depending how you think about it, it's not costing me anything, because I don't write myself a check for my hourly rate, but I'm not earning that money. So it does cost you. Yeah. No, I went too far again. Wish it didn't do that. Beagle Bob, 10-year-old cars need to be reliable and affordable before classic prices come down. Yep. Old cars are not just a toy, they are more practical every day. This is true. I think that's part of the reason old trucks are as strong as they are, price-wise, because they're you can have an old vehicle and have that romantic kind of hobby side of things, and have a truck that you can use, which is kind of describes my old blue F100. It's kind of a cool old truck. Maybe not my first choice, but it's still a pretty cool old truck, and super easy to work on and very practical. So it's worth having, Chris Freemason, not that I'd buy a Ford, but the 71 Mustang Mach 1 does something for me. I guess I'm in the minority on this one, though. I'd have to say you probably are, Chris. They do nothing for me, the 71 2.3s. They really don't. They just got a bit big and overweight. When I say overweight, I mean I don't know what they actually weigh. They just look overweight. Um, yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah, some people love them, and obviously you do. But yeah, it's all, again, no wrong answers. You like what you like, you know. Todd Denier, Driveway Misfits, 71 and 72. Yeah, there's plenty of people out there do love them, and there's, yeah, but they're not as popular. And really, that's just reflected in the price. 71 and 2s are definitely a lot cheaper than a 69 70, and cheaper. Those are cheaper again than a 67 68. So, you know. Barracuda, Kiwi, I remember you talking about water jacketed torque plates. Yeah, that's kind of nth degree stuff. So you actually get the engine up to operating temperature before you hone it. Because obviously when the engine's hot, it changes shape too. You know? Not wildly, but it does change. The metal expands with heat. Most things expand with heat. So you get it up to 200 degrees, or 180. It's a different shape. It just is. And if you can simulate those running conditions, those normal, shall we say, running conditions, then that's how it's going to make the peak power. And that was the sole reason for that water jacketed hot torque plate was, so you could run hot water through the block and have the engine completely at operating temperature. And that was looking for that last 2% of power, or even 1% of power. Because when you're talking race engines, if they can give you another 3, 4, 5 horsepower by doing some little thing, that just means that you can pull out and pass. If you're nose to tail on the back straight and suddenly you've got an extra 5 horsepower, then you can pull out and pass. So that little tiny bit, it's not enough to notice driving down the interstate, but in a race conditions, that extra 5 horsepower can be the difference between being able to overtake just and not. Right, where was I up to? Donkey just looked at a 66 Mustang that's priced $45,000 and had so much rust on the underside of the car. Crazy high price. Yeah. This is one of the things with these older cars. These old Mustangs. It's not Mustangs. If it's an older car that's made of metal, it's going to have rust. It's just how much. Because metal rusts, and you give it 60 years outside, it's going to rust. But $45,000, I'm hoping that was a fastback at that price, because if you were looking at a coupe at that money, that must have been something special. Jeff R, I look under the hood of my HQ and understand every part. I do the same to my 99 Toyota quad cam, EFI, East-West V6, and wonder where to start. Yeah. Well, I mean, that motor you're talking about is just, the Toyota version of my Ford V6 and the Lincoln. Quad cam, EFI, East-West. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, if it wasn't, it wouldn't even be a faint, distant thought if I didn't have YouTube videos to refer to. I would not dive into that car to try and do a water pump without either someone that's done it before, or several YouTube videos to look at and listen to and get some handy hints. Because you open the hood and it's like, literally where to start. Victor Souza, what is the one thing that classic cars have that you miss in modern cars, except for the fact that classic cars are sick? That you miss in modern cars. It's a good question. That's really not a good question. What is it that I miss? Well, I can tell you a bunch of stuff I don't miss. I don't miss the poor brakes. I don't miss the poor handling. I don't miss the poor fuel economy. There's a lot of things not to miss. But what the modern cars don't have is that, as you just said, the fact that classics are sick. They just have a cool factor, and very few modern cars have that, and probably will ever have that. There is something about that era of the motor car, and it's not just American cars, but I mean, probably most of us here on this live, prefer the old American stuff, but the old European stuff, English stuff, New Zealand, Aussie stuff. It's just cool, and some of it's a trip down memory lane, some of it's reliving our youth, but whatever your reasons for feeling they're cool, the fact is that you think they're cool. And, like you jump into a Toyota Camry and cruise downtown, like nobody's really looking at you going, whoa, that's cool. Haven't seen one of those in years, that nobody's thinking that about your Toyota Camry or your Lincoln, or your Hyundai. They're just not thinking that. So, really, your except for comment is the thing that I miss about the old cars that the modern cars don't have. Victor, another question. And what is something you believe cars should have to make it even better? Steve Sadusky, Victor Souza, interchangeable parts and engines. Yeah, that's a fair comment. That's actually, I was kind of trying to think of a good answer for that, but you kind of beat me to it, Steve. That is one of the things. And I guess one of the things that would make them even better is just a little more simplicity. So we get a couple of miles to the gallon less because we don't have MDS and all this other nonsense and cars that switch off as soon as you stop at the traffic lights. The auto restart things and stuff like that. I would. So yeah, it's not so much what I would add to the newer cars to make it cooler. It's what I would take away. It's what I would take away. They've gotten a little top heavy in the technology, the modern cars, and we do like it. We like the horsepower. We do like the horsepower. What do we got here? Jeff R. Did the US get the Toyota Celica liftback styled like a 69 Mustang? Rear tail lights mainly. I always thought they'd be better with a 289 transplant. I know the Toyota Celica you mean, and I have seen the odd one for sale here. Very few and far between. But they're a good-looking little car and worth pretty good money here. I saw one that had been picked over a little bit, like tail lights were missing, and there was a few bits missing off it, and it was a bit rusty, and it wasn't a great car, and they wanted like $5,000 for it. It's like, ooh. I think it was $5,000, but it seemed a little high given how much stuff you had to source for it, which is very hard to find. But that is for a JDM car. They're very nice, and some of those early Mitsubishi GTOs around that same era, they were a very good-looking little jet car as well. Steve Sadusky, longevity. Yeah, that'd be, well, yeah. Yep, that's a fair comment. Donkey, Kiwi, do you charge by the hour or by the job? I charge by the hour, mate. I would probably go broke if I was doing it by the job because it's so hard to know how long it's going to take. Mainly because you just don't know who's been there before you. Who's done something stupid, who's kind of jerry-rigged something together. You never quite know what you're going to do until you're like elbow deep in it. The modern cars, they can go by the book to tell them how long it's going to take, and the cars, don't have 60 years worth of corrosion. They're fairly new, and you can be pretty good on the shop, to quote a job But yeah, for me, no, not on these old cars. It's by the hour. I can give them a bit of a guesstimate. It shouldn't be more than this, but I give myself a pretty big window. I'll be honest with you. And yeah, it just really does just take what it takes. Today I went to change the I got a two-piece drive shaft in the F100. Should be a pretty good quick job to change that centre bearing. Yeah, it wasn't. The slider, that telescoping yoke that they have behind the bearing, that was completely frozen solid, would not come apart. I had to heat the crap out of it to get it apart. And you can't get that bearing off until you get it apart, the sliding yoke. So, I was an hour and 20 minutes into it, kind of before I could start the job. So, if I did it by the job, I'd have been down the drain on that one. Okay. Todd Denier. I used to have people asking if they could take pictures of my daily driver 63 Dodge 440 four-door faded paint, rust and all. Yeah, there you go. It's a lot of it is childhood memories, or young adult, depending on the age of the person, childhood, even 20s, memories of when you were in your 20s and the cars that were around. Those are the cars that people have a romantic connection with, so to speak, and that's what they like. Hang on. Where do we get to? Right, here we go. I'm back online. Volfly. Classic luxury cars can be steered with your fingertips. Big steering wheel, power assisted, all easy. New luxury cars are nowhere near as relaxing to drive. I think they forgot what luxury means. Yeah. I think depends what car you're getting. There's still some luxury cars around, but it's kind of the Rolls Royces and shit like that. But yeah, people want a little more handling, cornering ability, just to keep up with the flow of traffic, and a little bit more braking and stuff like that. I think if you brought, the equivalent of a 69 Cadillac Eldorado, to the market today, that handled and did the stuff that car did, I don't know how well it would sell, to be honest. I mean, there's a few of us would buy them, like you and I would love that, but not enough. Not enough. That's the thing. Firefly, the 76 Eldorado was nice to test drive. Yeah, well, those caddies around that era were very cruisy, like just driving a big old cream puff. Yeah, but I just don't know how well that would sell today. And sell to us, but not enough. Todd Denier. Old luxury cars were actually luxurious. Heck, even lower level brands like Ford, Chev, Dodge, and Plymouth top models rode more luxurious than new luxury cars. Yeah, it's a different world, guys. Different world. Barracuda, young guy said my AP6 is a cool old car. He asked if it's an old Merc. I assumed he meant Mercury, but he meant Mercedes. Oh dear, really? Mistook an AP6 for a Mercedes. Wow. But hey, okay, so the reaction is to kind of mock him for not knowing the difference. Well, that's kind of what flashed into my head. But he thought it was a cool old car. So, got to give him credit for that. He knew it looked like a cool old car. He just didn't know what it was. So you can't be too hard on him for that. At least he had it right in what an old car looked like. And in this case, it looked like an AP6, which is an old, an old Valiant, like Dr. Art's Barracuda. Like that's an AP6 style Valiant in Australia and New Zealand. Paul Funk, one thing I miss about old cars is being able to see the top of the fenders as you were driving down the road. That's a good point. That is a good point. Yes. Yeah, it's It's kind of driving by braille these days, isn't it? You really don't see the front corners. That's a good point. Yeah, like the little gun sights and stuff, like on that Mercury, that Comet, because it wasn't a Mercury, it was a Comet, with this little gun sight, little things on the front fenders. You knew exactly where the corner of your cars were. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. Josh Homan, new cars ride like school buses and have rock hard seats. Some do. I don't know that all do. But yeah, some do for sure. Volfly, new cars have all rims, no rubber. They ride harder. That's true too. Yep, these low profile tires because again, like everybody likes handling. Like my wife rips around corners. She likes a car that handles it and goes around corners. And really, to do that, you've got to have lowish profile tires. Certainly nothing bigger than a 40 profile. Which do ride harder. They don't soak up the road as well. But honestly, if you stuck her in a 76 Eldorado, if she didn't slow down, she'd bloody kill herself in it, because she'd just go hauling around a corner like she's used to doing, and it wouldn't comply. It just would not do what it's told. Right, what do we got here? Andy Nickel, I don't have the tools I need to more easily to do the water pump, but I could do it. I'm not sure I have but I'm not sure I have the confidence. Like you said, a mechanic will cost me a day and a half. It's only got 70,000 Ks. Oh, that sucks. That's a big job to be doing at 70,000 Ks. Yeah, that would burn me. It would. Chris Freeman is a character. Modern cars have little to no character. They are a bit bland. They all tend to look similar. They weren't as wildly different as the late 50s and 60s. But yeah, I'm not really sure why that is. I mean, you can tell by looking at them they're not, but why have the designers decided that's what we want? Oh, Mrs. Kiwi just walked in. Hello, darling. Say hello to the boys. Well, yes, true. There might be. Andy Nichols. So I have some time, I hope. Right. Oh, okay. So Okay. So you only got 70 Ks on it, so you've got a little while to go. I see what you mean. Sorry, I thought you meant it failed at 70 K. Volfly. Just because you are a character, it does not follow that you have character. Pulp Fiction. Very true. Very true. Fish Geraldine, feel better after a shower. You smell a bit better too, mate. I'm sure. I should stop my complaining. Had to have a kidney removed a little while back. Oh man, that's no good. Had a checkup and test done yesterday. Everything came back good. Life is good. There you go. Any day above the grass is a good day, isn't it, bud? Todd Denio, Josh Homan, I absolutely agree. New cars, even with luxury cars, ride like 1800s buckboard wagons. Pop's Mustang. My dad started me on a 70 Mustang Fastback when I was in high school, 4V Cleveland. I worked a job to pay the note and insurance. Loved that Mustang. Yep, that would have been good times for sure. Not a bad car for a first. Was it a first car? Yeah, not a bad car for a first car, man. I guess that's why you're still Pop's Mustang shop. Volfly, he washed that Ford out of his hair. Redneck 53, 56. New cars have no personality. I miss the chrome bumpers and stainless trim. Yep, I feel you, man. I really do. That is cool, but I can only imagine how much it would cost to make one of those 50s, 60s blinged up cars today with, compared to how now when they actually make it all out of plastic. Making those cars again today would be prohibitive, I would say. Josh Homan, I rode to North Carolina in the so-called Cadillac in 2019. Don't remember how many times my rear end went numb. Now, new cars, they all look like electric shavers. Move Sin City. Oh, dear. Barracuda, where'd you go? You just shot up the page. Good Lord. Hang on, just trying to find where I was up to, guys. Bear with me. Barracuda, the old cars handle good with good dampers, sway bars, and tyres. I feel more confident throwing my manual steering VH Valiant into corners than I do with my Commodore. Interesting. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I think if you do the right tweaks to them, you can make them pretty good. Todd, give me a 60s to mid-70s full-size car and I'm happy with its comfort. Oh, yeah, I agree. I do agree. Braden LaForce, do you have a waiting list to get a car into your shop? I do, mate, I'm afraid. Yeah, I do. And it depends a little bit what you're needing done. Obviously, the smaller the job, the quicker we can get it into a gap. But for big projects, yeah, it's a fairly long wait. Todd, my 63 Dodge 440 four-door has a smoother ride and more comfortable seat than my new luxury cars. Yeah, that can well be the case. Jeff R, local parts chain has 25% off NGK spark plugs. The race series are only $11.25. Yeah, whew. Yeah, that's it's not that. That's for 25% off. Ouch. D-Rec vent windows. Yeah, they've kind of gone the way of the dinosaur, haven't they? Vent windows. Wow, they kind of stopped. When did they stop? Around 68-ish. 67, I think, was really close to the last of them. Maybe the trucks, kept going with them. Fitzgeraldine, my Lexus rides like a Cadillac, handles and performs like a Corvette. Yeah, I think it depends a little bit what luxury. I mean, the Lexus are pretty nice. I'll give you that. They are pretty nice. They are the super luxury Toyotas. So they did a pretty nice job on those cars. Chris Freemason. Recently saw a vid on a guy working on a newer Audi. Car requires ruthenium spark plugs. I've never heard of that. I'll have to Google that. Platinum, iridium, all that sort of stuff, but not ruthenium. No, never heard of that. Steve Sadusky, hey Kiwi, where is Kev? We miss Kev. I've got to put him in the next video. I've got a mental block, and I just keep forgetting to put him in. I finish the video and go, shit. I need to start thinking of it before I start the video, not when I finished it. That would help, wouldn't it? But yeah, he's around. He's just gathering dust. Chris Freemason. The State Department is working to get Kev out of the mega prison in El Salvador. No luck yet. Oh, dear. End of time. It's hard work collecting the right parts to build a car now. You think so? What sort of stuff are you having trouble getting? I would have. I'm kind of surprised to hear you say that. There's some hard to find stuff on certain cars for sure. I know this through Marge, but so what sort of stuff are you meaning? Is that the sort of stuff you're meaning about? Aristocrat. How long is it going to take to finish your wife's car? Asking for a friend of a friend. Okay. Jenny. Okay. Hello, Jenny. My Mrs. Kiwi's friend, apparently AKA Aristocrat, is stirring the pot a little there.
No, she's not.
No, I am. It's really at the forefront of my mind to get that car up and the ball rolling. And I'm being honest, I'm struggling with it. I'm struggling to get to it, but I will get there. Up the page again. Oh, good Lord. What do we got? Checkbound. Hello and greetings from Prague. Hey, Czechoslovakia. Yes, I can't sleep. Love your T-shirt. Oh, thanks, man. From Czechoslovakia. That's very cool. Welcome. That's cool to have you here, man. That's awesome. I deny $32 each for spark plug. I would not take a car like that if you gave it to me for free or even paid me to take it. I have a feeling that if I gave you my Audi, you'd take it. I think you would. I'll be honest with you, bud. I think you would. Donkey says, hello, Mrs. Kiwi.
I said hello, Donkey.
Oh, you did? Okay, very good. Todd Denier, modern German engineering. I guess iridium plugs weren't good enough for Audi. I guess not. I mean, I wasn't aware of that, to be fair. I hope I don't have to change the spark plugs in mine anytime soon, because 8 times 32 is kind of quite a bit, really. Don's Manufactory. Hey, man, how you doing? Good to have you along. Finally made it. Yeah, well, better late than never, brother. Steve Sadusky, over 2014 Silverado, but I missed my 87 Silverado because everything was easier to repair and cost less compared to today. The other day, it cost me $500 to buy the sending unit fuel pump. Ouch. Newer Todd and I, newer cars, stiff seats and harsh ride kill me because of my back issues. There you go. Not having discs in most of my back doesn't like harsh rides. 17 of 23 are shot or missing. Oh, mate, that's a lot of back pain. That sucks. Sorry to hear that, man. That's got to wear on you. My back's been playing up lately, and I'm going to the chiropractor, and but it's nothing like that. Nothing like that. Barracuda. This courier has just dropped off 205/70 14 tires I ordered. Okay, the courier, the UPS driver has just dropped off 205/70 14 tires I ordered. I ordered 2, but they sent 4. What should I do? Keep your mouth shut. That's what I do. They sent 4. Take 4. They were probably twice as expensive as they should have been anyway. So all they've done is just made the deal right, Josh Homan, General Motors got rid of many of the events by 69, others followed by 71. Yeah, the Camaro did away with the vent windows in 68. Beagle Bob, I heard Kev is working 24/7 to ship out the merchandise that is linked in Kiwi's channel homepage. Yes, well, if he'd actually just get off his ass and do that, people would have more shirts. Yes. Kiwi Mars, saying hello, Donkey. Yeah, there you go. Driveway of Misfits, Barracuda, defined courier. Yes, there you go. That's what us Kiwis and Aussies too, I think, call the FedEx or UPS is the courier drivers. Todd Denier, that's good advice. Barracuda, first thing to do is check your receipt to see how many you paid for. That's a good point. Yeah, you might have paid for 4 and didn't realise it. Josh Homan, best to replace all 4 tyres on the cars anyways. Yeah, you kind of, sometimes you do get out of sequence though, especially if you forget to rotate them. You can wear out a fronts or rears before the other pair. Kiwi Ma, she's on a roll tonight. See, she's got herself all sparked up at Pilates and she's feeling all energetic now. And that's when the little smart ass comes out in Kiwi Mars. Barracuda prepaid for 2 only. Mate, well then you're golden. You're golden. Put 4 new tyres on it, keep the 2 old good ones for spares, and away you go. Don't care too. Evening Kiwi, just glad you could poop back in the day. Oh, well. Oh dear. Todd Denier, it's not the courier who screwed up, it's the seller's mistake. Absolutely it is, yeah. Barracuda, ring them up and tell them of their mistake. Be honest, be the honest guy. Yep, that's fair. Yeah, he probably should, but I wonder how many of us would. Rescued and Restored Garage. Hey man, welcome along. How you doing? How's the big move been going? I know you were moving recently, weren't you? Moving house, moving shop, doing something. Josh Homan, pay for the 2 extra tyres and put them on the car. The car will thank you for it. It's surprising how much better a car goes with 4 new tyres on it. It really is. Especially if they're a little low. I mean, your one's 70 profile and not a low profile, but you get into these 40 series tyres and they get about 2/3 worn and they don't ride that great to start with. By the time they're 2/3 of the way worn out, the rider's really gone away bad. Kiwi, now that you know what my back issues are, can you see why I can honestly say you couldn't pay me to take a newer car? Yes, I can. So, but knowledge is everything, isn't it? Yes, if I was you, I would want a nice spongy, couch seated Cadillac of the late 60s, 70s. I would, and your back will certainly appreciate it. So I get it. So I take back what I said. Lee Travis, how much flex is normal on a 65 convertible Mustang? Still seeing 3 millimeters at the door to B pillar after floor pans, inner rockers and torque box repair. 3 millimeters, you've got a fairly tight Mustang, mate. You've got a fairly tight Mustang. That is more than acceptable. You've done a good job welding those in, clearly. You've got yourself a good car there. They are not strong cars. They do flex a lot, which is why they've had extra engine bay braces in them to try and stop the cowl shake. Like you hit a bump and the whole windshield and cowl kind of does this. They're not real strong cars. The modern convertibles are a lot. They've figured out. Remember that, like 65, they really were learning the unibody. They didn't have a lot of miles on them, really, compared to today. They didn't have the experience with unibody's cars that they do today, so they weren't terribly strong, and they progressively made them better. But even today, the latest model cars, the convertibles are not as strong. They have to put a wee bit more weight in them to try and beef them up, make them stronger. But it's pretty accepted that convertibles do not handle as well as a hardtop car because of the flex. So, yeah, 3 millimeters, you've done a good job, man. Barracuda, I suppose I should. I've always been honest. There you go. Oh, yeah, there you go. The people have spoken, Barry. Pop's Mustang, 4 tyres for the price of 2, do burnouts. Yeah, well, that's not terrible advice. Um, yeah. Driveway misfit. Be careful what you say about a Kiwi. You're in her kitchen right now. This is very true. This is very true. But it's all good. We give each other a bit of stick. Rescued and restored garage. How goes the battle, brother? It goes pretty good, actually. It's pretty good. It is a battle, but it's pretty good. Alan Shildroff, I'll take them tires off your hand. You got a long way to ship them, brother. Oh, unless, Alan, are you one of our Kiwi viewers, Alan? I'm not sure. Check bound. Integrity is what we do when nobody is looking. Mate, ain't that the truth? I'd contact them and be honest. Chances are, depending on how expensive they are, they might let you have them. Very true. I'm impressed, guys. I'm impressed. Very good. Rescue and restored garage. It's going good. I miss working on all the projects. House is awesome, but no room for the cars. Oh, that sucks. So what have you done with all the cars, man? I know you had a few. Harry Cooter, what does the courier mean in American? Drugs. No, not really drugs, but they just, it's just like, what does he mean? Not rather than thinking it's something it's not, it's like just what does he mean? End of time. I do fairly well hunting parts, but these younger guys have a really hard time knowing how to find the stuff. Is kind of an art on its own now. Yeah, it is. There's definitely ways of going about searching, and a lot of that's just knowledge. Just practice. Having done it and figured it out. Before. Todd Denio, Kiwi. That is exactly the type of car I'm looking for. I had one all lined up, but the deal fell through. Oh, that sucks. They're out there, man. Especially that 70s stuff is a little more readily available. And some of those 70s Cadillacs aren't even that expensive, really. But yeah, are you looking for a particular vehicle? You want it's a Cadillac, like a 4-door hardtop convertible. What you looking for? Braden LaForce. I became a fan when I saw a video you were doing about a butchered classic car ripoff. The guys were laughing hysterically about the car's various flaws. You had genuine sympathy for the owner. Yeah, I remember the one you're talking about. Yeah, especially when they've just paid the money for it. That kind of hurts. Driveway of Misfits. Todd, would something like a Crown Vic or a Buick Roadmaster from the 90s work? And one better than a Crown Vic would be the Lincoln Town Car. A little bit longer wheelbase, a little bit, some air suspension going on in them, stuff like that. They'd be pretty cruisy. Steve Osgood, someone say bourbon. Yes, they did. Yeah, they did. I definitely heard someone say bourbon. And mine's getting a little low. Not sure that I'm going to make it to 9 o'clock. We shall see. Josh Homan, yes, that's right. I would contact the seller and pay for the 2 extra tires. Todd Denio, Driveway of Misfits. The ride on those would be good, but they're too complicated to work on. But I could deal with that. Okay, there you go. Beagle Bob, are the tires from Walmart or from a family shop? I can see where you're going with that, Beagle. Yeah, Walmart could probably afford to take that one on the chin, but the family shop, yeah, that would kind of hurt. Yeah, that's a good point. Good point. Checkbound question, please. Where in New Zealand are you originally from? What was your life journey that brought you there and setting up your business? Okay. I was originally from Taranaki, a little place called Hawera in Taranaki, which is that's a little town of 10,000 people, about halfway down the North Island. And then did all my teenage years were in Auckland, or teenagers through to kind of 40-something, was in Auckland, New Zealand, which is the biggest city in New Zealand. So there was that. And yeah, ended up here in the States through winning the green card lottery where your name comes up in a from a drawer, and it gives you the right to apply for a green card. Puts you to kind of the front of the queue of the green card applicants. So yeah, then the rest is history. We sold up everything, jumped on a plane, came to America, and the rest is history, as they say. Always wanted to have a dedicated shop building hot rods, and that became a possibility here in the States. It really, at the time in New Zealand, there wasn't really any dedicated purely hot rod shops because there just wasn't the demand for it. There is now in New Zealand. Hot rodding's kind of exploded there, and there's a bunch of dedicated hot rod shops. So I opened up a shop here, wondering if it would work and if I'd be able to get enough work. And it took off, man. It took off. Built a Mustang, a fairly trick Mustang, and that got a lot of attention from the Mustang guys. And I started getting inundated with Mustangs, and then the other brands followed. The Mopars and the Chevys, and yeah. So now I really genuinely can't keep up with the amount of work that people are trying to send me. Beagle Bob, there is a right and wrong answer, but context has its place. Absolutely, it does. Most definitely. Hall Funk, buying a new tyres for the car is like buying a new pair of shoes for your feet. I've never really thought about it in those terms, but yes, you're absolutely right. Rescued and restored. They were all at a friend's place, and I traded my Dodge short box pickup for a 79 Bronco. Okay, very cool. Barracuda. Here we say UPS or dropped off, or FedEx just dropped off. Yeah, not the courier. Yeah, you've got it. You're onto it. Tontonio, Little Red Express, Midnight Express, Warlock. Oh yeah. Well put, Checkbound. Fitzgeralding. Yes, indeed. Rescued and restored. I really want to work on the Bronco and make it my daily driver. Yeah, it'd be a cool old driver. Victor Souza, Mr. Kiwi, have you ever reformed an old pickup truck? I'm guessing you mean restored. Answer's yes, I have. We did a really, really nice one. 67 or 8 Chevy C10 long bed. A truck. That was a nice truck. Had an LS, had all the big brakes, big wheels, like you name it. It pretty much had it. It was a very, very nice truck. Went to the SEMA show. Was in Hot Rod Alley in the SEMA show. Very nice truck. And that was a few years back now. And that last I heard of that truck, he had it on the market for like 120 grand. That's how nice a truck it was. So yeah, I've done an old truck or two in my day, and obviously I own an old truck now myself, the 74 F100. So not going to do a restore on that one, but we're going to I don't know what quite the right term is, but we're going to make it better. But it's not going to be all blingy and shiny. It'll have a little bit of bling, and it will have a little bit of hot rod to it, and it will have a little bit of work truck to it, because it is going to be a work truck first and foremost. But for me, it has to be nice to drive. So we're going to drop it down a little bit, make it not really handle, but not be so teeter-tottery around the corners. Just make it a little bit lower the center of gravity a bit, get a little bit better tires, a little bit wider tires, still fairly high profile. Still some sidewall in them, but not quite as tall as the old truck tires. So yeah, it'll be somewhere between stock and a lowered hot rod, like low hot rod. Watch the space. That more videos on that truck will be coming your way. Andy Nickel, back when I owned a music store, I ordered 6 sets of ebony string pins, 6 pins per set. They sent me 6 bags, 10 sets per bag. They lasted me a long, long time. Oh, wow, that's a little oversupply, isn't it? Yeah. Todd Denier, all in. I only have 3K to work with. Yeah, that makes it a little harder, bud. 3K doesn't go very far these days, does it? It really does not go very far. Yeah. 3K, that does not. That's a tricky one. I wonder if a big 70s Ford LTD-ish, Ford Thunderbird, Ford, or the big Lincolns of that era, they can be fairly affordable if you can find one that's decent. But even the fairly good ones don't fetch a lot of money. But they're big marshmallow powder puff cars, and don't fetch quite the money of the Cadillacs. So, they're perfectly good cars, long as you're not, solidly entrenched in the GM camp. If you can deal with owning a Ford, then some of those big old Lincolns and Continentals and stuff like that 70s stuff, not the slab side Lincolns, some of them are pretty reasonably priced. You might get something around that $3,000. Donkey, has YouTube helped your business? Yes, it has brought in a lot more inquiry. Yeah, it has. And brought in more jobs as well, for sure. Beagle Bob, am I right to be scared enough to shut my motor down as soon as it starts because it wants to rev high, climb to 2,000 RPM with no indication of slowing as soon as it started? It's fuel injected. 2,000 is a little high, but not too bad, really. That's really just a pretty fast idle. But it depends. If it's still going up, if it's still climbing, depends where it's going to stop, really. And that, you don't want to be doing too much more than that on a stone cold engine, really. That's when all your wear happens, is when they're cold. In theory, the beauty of injection is that you can just hit the key, it starts, and it's idles at its predetermined, 800 RPM or whatever it is. Whether it's hot, cold, medium, whatever, the EFI should just make it idle, should just adjust, compensate for the heat or the lack thereof, and make it idle at the predetermined idle speed, regardless of whether it's been running for 1 second or 15 minutes, But so yeah, I wouldn't let it go too wild. Yeah, it's I'd be a little concerned as well. It sounds like maybe you got a big air leak somewhere. But yeah, this can be a number of reasons. But yeah, big air leak would be kind of the first thing to spring to mind. So check for that. Rescue and restored. You and your crew do incredible work. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And you're. I do get a giggle out of what you're doing on YouTube too, man. Your missus is kind of hardcore. She's funny. Keeps you in place or in line, I would say, by the look of it. So it's quite amusing. So it's fun, which is what that's what YouTube should be. Firefly links to his marinade cookbook. Barracuda, we are rather quaint here in New Zealand. Steve Sadusky, Kiwi, what happened with the black Mustang you were working on and customizing the firewall when you first met Uncle Tony? That car got finished and delivered, and that's all done and dusted, and he's out driving the wheels off that thing. I need to go back and look. I'm not sure. I don't know. I thought we'd done a video wrap up on that, but maybe we didn't. I think you may have asked me this before, or someone else asked me this question if it wasn't you. But yeah, that's Tom Russell's car, and that thing's working just fine. That was a big job. That one. That was a big job. But yeah, if we didn't do a wrap-up video, it'd be a piece of cake to get that back and just, do a road test on it. Just kind of do a road test video, have a look around it, show the finished product and do a road test on it. So yeah, if it's not there on my history, I dropped the ball. I'll be honest with you. I should have done a wrap-up video on that one because it's done and dusted. Volfly, Grand Marnier marinade, juice and zest of 1 lemon, 1 lime, 3 tablespoons of Grand Marnier, poultry and seafood. Nice. I could eat that. Volfly, Grand Marnier was Vincent Price's thing. I have his cookbook still. He had a cookbook? Who knew? Vincent Price, he was he was in all those old horror movies, right? He had quite a characteristic voice. But yeah, I remember him, but I would never have pegged him for being a cook. There you go. You learn something every day. Beagle Bob, from Todd Denier. A lot of the injector cars will rev high like that when they first start, and after a few seconds they idle down. Yeah, it takes a moment for the computer to kind of do the math, do the equations, as it were, and bring the idle down to where it's predetermined level. So yeah, it may be as simple as that, or it depends how far it roars past 2,000. How many thousand past there it goes. Todd Denier, Kiwi, my only requirement for a car is it's old, full-sized, and American made. Well, I think you got some options. I'd go looking in the Ford camp, honestly, and that's not because I'm like this big Ford guy, which I am a bit. I'll admit that. I'm not too proud to admit that, but I do see some of those big old tanky Fords, and they actually really quite appeal. I think it'd be quite cool to cruise around in one of those big mid-70s Thunderbirds, or Lincoln. The Lincolns was very similar to the Thunderbird as well. Big two-doors, I'd love a two-door. That's just me. But I've seen some of those, like some of them with relatively low miles and good condition, because some of those cars, they weren't like a Mustang of that era where they were, ridden hard and put away wet, so to speak. They were kind of seen as a bit of an old man's car, like an old man with no discs in his back sort of car. So yeah, some of them were actually left alone and are still in pretty darn good shape. So I would, I'd look down that road. Some of the Mopars, then some of the kind of less desirable Mopars are going to be pretty affordable. Some of the big ones, and they were pretty cruisy as well. But yeah, Cadillac you're going to pay a premium for, so, and your budget is not really big enough for too big a premium. Beagle Bob, the target oil is set for 1200. I don't want it running high before the oil pressure builds. The CPU shows an error that it isn't at its idle. Yeah, okay. Well, if the CPU is showing an error, that's not really... hang on. Shot up the page again. Oh, damn it. Hang on, guys. There we go. If the CPU is showing an error, that's really not it just trying to find there's something going on. I would check very hard for vacuum leaks. It's kind of it seems like it's maybe a little too obvious of an answer, but yeah, either that or make sure your throttle. Is this an injection system where you have to program the 0% throttle and the 100% throttle? Some of them are like that. You have to go back to 0% throttle and push a button, on the screen or on the handheld, and then go to wide open throttle and push a button, so it memorizes where wide open and zero is before it will idle properly. Because if it doesn't know, if what it thinks is 3% throttle is really 23% throttle because you haven't set those parameters, then the idle's going to go crazy, because it's going to think it's only giving it 3% throttle, but it's actually way more, which would make it rev up. So there's a few things it could be, but not always the easiest thing to figure out, but I'm afraid. Checkbound, thank you. In 2010, I travelled all the way from Cape Reinga Lighthouse down to Invercargill. Wow, that's a cool trip, and many places in between. That was 2010. Came across a Saturday night classic cruise in Christchurch. That's awesome. What a great holiday, man. That would be awesome. That's a lot of ground to cover, because New Zealand's long. Cape Reinga that he's referring to, guys, is like at the northernmost point of the country. Invercargill basically is at the bottom. Not quite. There's another island, a little island down a little bit lower than Invercargill, but basically that's at the very bottom of the second main island. And that's a long way. That's a long way. Like even by American standards, because New Zealand is very narrow but very long. It's kind of, I'd have to overlay the maps, but it's a fair way. It's probably a good 20 hours drive from top to bottom. That's not including the ferry ride across between the two islands. Yeah, it would be a solid 20 hours drive, which 20 hours in America will get you a fair way. But that's a great trip. You would have seen a lot of New Zealand, so good for you, man. Volfly, searching for bourbon-based recipes. Well, nothing wrong with that. Let me know. Let me know what you find, because I'll be all about it. Todd Denayo, I'm in Ely, Minnesota, right up by the US-Canadian border. There you go. Very cool. I guess, is it warming up there yet, or is it still cold? Driveway of Misfits. Todd, check with Tom at Rocket Restorations. He seemed to lay his hands on Mopar C bodies now and again and sells things at pretty reasonable prices. There you go. Try that. Victor Souza, I got to go. Thank you for all, Mr. Kiwi, and have a good night, everybody. God bless us. Well, hey, thanks for checking in, man. I appreciate it. As always, everybody here I appreciate. So, yeah, thanks for coming in. FX2 Mark, what is that? Mark 8. Are there many Holden Australian Fords that you wish you could easily import? Yeah, there are. I would like to have, an interesting Aussie car here in the States. It would be nice, but the price is honestly a little prohibitive. I would. Probably, like a Holden Maloo Ute pickup truck would be one of them for a late model. That would probably be the one late model I would bring here. Otherwise, Falcon Holden Utes, Falcon Holden panel vans, obviously GT Falcon, stuff like that. Some of the Monaros, the old Monaros, the old late 60s Monaros, any of that stuff. Would be awesome to have here, and people would love it. There is a handful here, the old Tiranas, A9X Tiranas. People love that stuff here. And yeah, you wish you could easily. They are relatively easy to import, but you've got to have the cash. The difficult part with those cars is they're high dollars. And the Kiwis and the Aussies are very proud of them, as they should be. It's a part of their automotive heritage. So they should be proud of them. They were pretty cool cars. So, yeah, but, they're worth a lot of money. Like 6 figures is not, and some of them are deep into this. Some of the GT Falcons are like $500,000. So, yeah, that's out of my, that's above my pay grade, I can tell you that much. Yeah. Rescued and restored. Thank you, brother. I hope we can start to get more content out there. Yeah, it'd be good. It'd be good to see more content from you, man. But yeah, hopefully you can get back to working on some of your projects. But that's going to be difficult when they're at a friend's place. But you'll figure it out, man. You'll get there. there's always a way. You just got to figure out what it is. Fitzgeralding, those 4.6 in the old Crown Vics and such were great little engines, good gas mileage and durable. The transmissions behind them were good too. Yeah, they were. The 4.6s, the 3-valve, was a little more temperamental than the 2-valve, and they did have a bit of problems with firing the plugs out of them and stuff like that. Yeah, but they were at the beginning of the complicated age or era. They were a lot more complicated than a 302 Windsor. But they were also performance-wise better. They made good power and good fuel economy, and just kind of you got to pay to play. You want that stuff. You want that good mileage. You want the drivability, the flexibility, the running good when they're cold with the fuel injection and all that sort of stuff. But somewhere along the line, you've got to pay for that. And part of the price of that is, you've got to do cam chain tensioners on them a bit, more often than you would have to replace a chain in an old Windsor. The timing chains really, you just swapped it out when you rebuilt the engine because you probably should have, not that it was worn out and rattling and making noise. There was just like, okay, we're rebuilding the engine, let's put a timing chain on it. It was the 4.6s, they get a few miles on them, that you start to have issues. But Jeff R., what do you think of the premium bourbon aged in sherry or port barrels? I do. I like that. I do like those. I like Angel's Envy. They do one in port barrels. You think it stuffs up a good bourbon? Okay. Well, there you go. See, everybody's different, aren't they? Some people like a rye whiskey. I do not like a rye whiskey. But they sell a lot of it, so it's not that I'm right and everyone else is wrong, not by any means. It's like you put it in your mouth and it tastes good, it's nice, you like it, but no, I don't think it stuffs up a good bourbon. But I say, please don't take that as meaning you're wrong. It just means that's what I like. Barry Cooter, checkbound. Did you go to Stewart Island as well when in Invercargill? Good question. Steve Sadusky, can you do a road test video on that Mustang? I can. I mean, he'd be very excited about it. That'd be like it's a phone call away, honestly. So okay. Let's see if we can't make that happen. And the red fastback that I'm working on now, like today, putting the air conditioning in it, that's a very similar setup to that black car. The engine's not quite as far back because it had a little bit different front suspension. We didn't have to tweak it back quite as far, but it's still set back a fair way. The Mustang 2 style front suspension, twin A-arm front suspension. 4-link rear. That black one had independent rear, the heights. The red one's got heights 4-link in it. Fairly similar cars. But the red one does have more horsepower. That's a stroked 427 out to, I think it's 490 something. I think he told me, and like 500 and like early 500 horsepower. Whereas that black one had essentially stock 427 in it. Still pretty lively. So much torque. You just gave it another gear and it just kept pulling. It was like the engine didn't know you'd gone into third. It was just still accelerating like it did in first gear. That's what I love about torque engines. Big engines with big torque. Like you just keep poking gears at them and they just keep pulling. Like they don't. The engine doesn't care what gear it's in, and that's a neat sensation. Chris, Drive Misfits. If the computer is getting faulty info from one of the sensors, it could idle high. Exactly. There's a bunch of stuff it could be, and you kind of got to be there with the information at hand as the engine's running and try and see what's going on. because EFI is complicated and it has a lot of sensors. Maybe not a lot, but it has more sensors than your old school oil pressure light, water temperature light. There's a little more to it than that. So there's more things that can play up. It's that simple, really. Barracuda, but what did Vincent Price cook? Good question. I want to know about this. Yeah, I've gone down. I've gone too far again. There we go. Fitzgeralding, Checkbound. I have a friend that owns a computer service company in Christchurch. Oh, okay. There you go. Todd Denier, Kiwi, a car doesn't know how to read what its emblem says, and it doesn't care either. Very true, sir. Very true. Beagle Bob, I'll try to figure out why with the forums, why it's doing it. I'm just curious what a dangerous RPM would be for cold. Don't know. Dangerous is an interesting question. I wouldn't. Pistons not being the right size when they're cold and that kind of thing. I'd be unhappy if it was much over 3.5, to be honest. But not panicking. It's not like the end of the wheel. But if it got up to over 3, I'd probably be wanting to shut it down. Because that's when most of your wear takes place, is when the engine's cold, the oil's thick, and it's not getting to where it's meant to be. It's not getting around the camshaft like it's meant to. I would 3.5 I'd be out. I'd be hitting the ignition key. And you wouldn't want to be doing it repeatedly, like if you start it, it hits 3.5, just turn it off, and you need to figure out why it's doing it. Because you're not going to blow it up, but you don't do it any favors when doing those sort of RPMs when it's stone cold. 35. But 35 not necessarily dangerous, but I just wouldn't be happy about it, Dangerous is going to be 5.5, really, realistically. But anyway. Volfly 65, A Treasury of Great Recipes by Mary and Vincent Price. They bogarted many recipes from the restaurants they visited, like the Four Seasons and such. Wow, how do you know this stuff? Beagle Bob, it did need the throttle calibrated, pretty much all of it, but it's reading 1% throttle. I'll get it worked out this week, hopefully, or I'll blow it up and be sad. You shouldn't blow it up. Honestly, I don't think you're not going, some high revs is just kind of make you going to cringe a bit, but there's no load on the motor, at that free revving. It's not like the motor's working hard and doing those revs. It's just free revving. And I don't think you'll blow it up. But it just kind of makes me cringe when they're cold and they're doing those revs. It's like, it's like an athlete. They're supposed to stretch before they go sprinting. Otherwise, they tear a muscle. There's different parallels there. You need the old girl to be warmed up before you stretch her legs. Chris Nearing, greetings all from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Well, welcome along, man. We've got 1 minute to go, and here you are. Well, I'm not sure what time you left the message, but I think I'm a bit behind. Vincent and Mary did a few original things when he cooking so that they could have lunch in their RV on the beach with a chosen guest, a nice private thing for close friends. They're very cool. Kind of similar. I do similar things, so it clicked with me. It's cool. Interesting stuff. Brad Hudson, I'm in Canada in 20 hours doesn't get you halfway across the country without a ferry. Yeah, well, I mean, you can't drive 20 hours in New Zealand without getting on a ferry, no. Canada's pretty humongous, though, let's be fair. New Zealand is an island, not a continent. Todd denied temps hit 80 today. Wow, that's getting up there. We were in, I think I was in the 70s today, late 70s. Eagle Bob. My favourite bourbon recipe is a glass with bourbon and ice. That's a good recipe. It's tried and true, you know. Like, you really can't go wrong, you know. Checkbound. Vincent Price was also an art connoisseur and was employed by collectors to source fine art paintings for their collection. There's even the Vincent Price Art Museum in Indiana. Who knew? I didn't. Wow, I had no idea. That's kind of interesting. I have to have a little look into them in all my spare time, right? Steve Sadusky, Toddy. I just seen a 79 Cadillac for sale for $1,000 with title. Nothing wrong with it, runs strong. Just most people aren't interested. That's why it's so cheap. Good luck with your search. There you go. 79. $1,000. That's got to be a good deal with a title and nothing wrong with it. That's a pretty good deal. How big were they in 79, or had they gone compact by 79? When did they kind of start getting smaller again? I kind of not really up on that. When we get into the 70s, 80s, I'm not really up on. I have a feeling like the 80s Cadillacs got quite smallish. But when I say smallish, I mean not 20 feet long. So, yeah, but 79, I mean, for what Todd's wanting, he wants a big car because big is what makes them super smooth. I'm not sure whether a 79 is. It could well be. I'm not sure. Paul Funk. Deal Bob, make sure the throttle plate is clean. I think it's all new stuff, mate. I seem to think. So it shouldn't be carboned up. If it's a Mopar, try resetting the adapters with a scan tool. Ugh. Okay, I'm out. You've just gone above my pay grade. Paul Funk, there's a lady camped up across the road from me that's driving a Toyota T100 that looks like it just rolled off the assembly line. Wow, really? Cool. Beagle Bob, brand new throttle plate with Mega Squirt ECU, small block Ford. Might pull the harness and upper intake off and redo a few steps, taking it slowly to check everything. Yeah, you can. Yeah, when they don't want to go properly, you can definitely bury some time. That's just the reality of it. Steve Sadusky, nothing wrong with it. Color was beige and cream color. Yeah, well. It's just a not unpleasant color. There's something about beige. It's not super inspiring, but it's not unpleasant, Robert Hirschfield, hi Kiwi. Hope you're having a blessed night. I am. I can't believe that we're at 9:03 already. Like 2 hours is seriously scooted by. But yeah, I mean, I haven't answered all your comments. Andy Nickel, oxy and alcohol don't mix. No, sir, they don't. No. But it can make for a good night. Steve Sadusky, the 79 Cadillac is a boat of a car. Well, cool. That's exactly what Todd's looking for. Mate, you need to find that. You need to get hold of each other and send them the link or do something. But that sounds like exactly what he's looking for. Todd Denier, Andy Nickel, for me, it's the hydro ISO, I can't even say that. ISO, Sorbide, and 17 others. Bad back and heart trouble. Oh, dear. Yeah, mate, you're doing it hard, aren't you? Doing it tough. All right, man. Well, all right, guys. That's it. Another Tuesday night has come to an end. My bourbon has come to an end. Last sip. That's it. Done and dusted. It's time for bed, guys. Honestly, I got a big day tomorrow. I got lots to do. Got cylinder heads to put back on a Corvette, drive shafts to put back in an F100, hydraulic rams to put in a convertible Buick, and yeah, so that's more than my day done. I would say. I don't think I'll get it all done, but hey. So yeah, good night. Have a great week. Get out there and work on your cars. It's getting warm. It's going to be nice. You need to get out there and go cruising. Todd, I hope your search for a big old tank goes well, and be sure and send me some pictures of it, man. When you get one, when you get what you're looking for, it'd be cool to see. And yeah, all right. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for everything. Thanks for all your input, and I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll be back here, same time, same channel, next week, next Tuesday, and I will see you all then. Take care, guys.